Welcome to Skytech-Lens. It started with the small things, the everyday items you barely notice until the price tag suddenly screams at you. In the spring of 2025, a trip to Walmart felt different. Ground beef jumped from $9 to $14. Lettuce soared by 30%. These weren't luxuries. They were the basics of American life. For millions, the weekly shop became a financial tightrope. Suddenly, the rope was fraying. The cost of living wasn't a slow creep anymore, it was a jarring leap. Even essentials like car seats and pantry staples shot up by double digits. The pain was everywhere. Shoppers clutched lists, calculating every aisle. Name brands were swapped for store brands. Fresh produce sections grew quiet. The act of providing for a family became a weekly battle against rising costs. Behind the scenes, a bigger story was unfolding. Walmart, a titan of retail, was in trouble, losing millions daily, squeezed by new government policies and customers' empty wallets. Empty shelves weren't just a stocking issue, they were a warning sign. The cracks in the system were showing, and the consequences would stretch far beyond a single superstore. The promise of always low prices was gone, replaced by anxiety at the checkout. The receipt had become a reckoning. The shock didn't start at Walmart, it began in the Oval Office. On April 2, 2025, President Trump signed the Liberation Day Tariffs, a 145% tariff on nearly all Chinese imports and a 10% base tariff on most other countries. The goal? Bring manufacturing home, end reliance on foreign factories, and revive American industry. But the global economy is a complex machine. Walmart and others had built their business on global sourcing and just-in-time logistics. The tariffs didn't just disrupt, they shattered the system. Instead of new factories, the immediate result was chaos, soaring prices, broken supply chains, and empty shelves. The era of cheap global trade was over, replaced by uncertainty and upheaval. Walmart faced an impossible choice: absorb the tariff costs and risk ruin, or pass them to customers. The scale of the tariffs made absorbing costs impossible. Prices on thousands of items shot up overnight. The average American household was hit with an extra $1,000 a year in costs. But the pain didn't stop at the register. To stem losses, Walmart closed 10 major distribution centers in key states. 50,000 workers, many the backbone of their communities, lost their jobs in a single blow. The closures rippled through towns, devastating families and local economies. The very policy meant to bring jobs home triggered one of the largest layoffs in retail logistics history. For Walmart, it was a desperate retreat. For workers, it was catastrophe. The promise of new American jobs was replaced by pink slips and shuttered warehouses. The era of always low prices was officially over, by government decree. The fallout was immediate, severe, and deeply personal. The economic earthquake had only just begun. The shockwaves would spread far beyond Walmart's walls. Walmart's supply chain was once a marvel, goods flowing from factories overseas to shelves with precision. The tariffs and distribution center closures shattered that system. Shelves emptied. Produce became a lottery. Freezers sat empty for days. Goods piled up in the wrong places, stuck at ports or overcrowded warehouses, while stores starved for inventory. Walmart lost millions daily, paying to store goods it couldn't move and losing sales from empty shelves. The chaos spread through the entire logistics industry. Freight rates soared, warehouse space vanished, startups offering on-demand warehousing were overwhelmed. The just-in-time model had no buffer for a shock this big. The architects of the tariffs misunderstood. Supply chains aren't light switches, they're living ecosystems. Decades of investment and relationships couldn't be rebuilt overnight. The result wasn't a revitalized industry, but a paralyzed one. Empty shelves became the starkest evidence of failure. The system that kept America stocked had snapped. The shockwaves didn't stop at America's borders, they crashed into economies worldwide. In China, factories like the Hunter toy factory lost Walmart orders overnight, forcing mass layoffs and economic despair. Walmart scrambled to shift production to Vietnam, signing billion-dollar deals. But Vietnam's factories were already near capacity. The US threatened new tariffs on Vietnam, creating uncertainty and chaos for suppliers. The disruption wasn't just in manufacturing. Walmart's logistics network, once a conduit for American exports, broke down. US produce and meat destined for global markets became stranded. Food prices spiked, not just in America, but in cities like Manila and Nairobi as exports dried up. The tariff policy, meant to punish China and bring jobs home, set off a global chain reaction. Workers in China suffered. Vietnamese factories were overwhelmed and food prices soared worldwide. The world's economies were too linked for such a blunt instrument. Pulling one thread warped the entire fabric. The pain was global, not just American. The consequences were shared by all. The crisis leapt from store shelves to Wall Street. Within 6 weeks, Walmart's stock plunged 11%, erasing $37 billion in value. Investors panicked. If Walmart could fall, anyone could. Money fled retail and logistics funds at rates not seen since 2008. The Dow Jones Transportation Index dropped 17%. The VIX, Wall Street's fear gauge, spiked. The panic spread to companies like FedEx and Prologis, whose stocks tumbled as the logistics sector buckled. Walmart's own plans to build new U.S. factories were put on hold as its bond sale was paused. The meltdown hit ordinary Americans' retirement accounts, teachers, firefighters, factory workers, whose savings were tied to safe stocks. The trade war meant to secure America's future was eroding its financial security in real time. The fear was no longer just about groceries, it was about the future. The entire economy trembled. As Walmart stumbled, rivals pounced. Amazon expanded grocery discounts and launched free one-hour delivery, targeting Walmart's shaken customers. Discount grocers like Aldi and Dollar General accelerated expansion, opening stores in towns hit by Walmart closures. E-commerce grocers saw a surge in subscriptions, offering predictability and convenience. Consumers flocked to what worked, abandoning Walmart for competitors who could deliver. The retail landscape realigned overnight. Even giants can fall when they can't adapt. American families adapted fast. The weekly shop became a mission, armed with lists, calculators, and resolve. Impulse buys vanished. Meals were planned around sales, not cravings. Shoppers traded brand names for store brands and fresh produce for shelf-stable staples. Discretionary spending was slashed, eating out, holidays, even streaming services. People repaired instead of replaced, and home gardening surged. Communities banded together, sharing resources and bartering. Food pantries were overwhelmed as more working families struggled. The crisis exposed the fragility of household finances. For years, Walmart's low prices masked stagnant wages and rising costs elsewhere. When that pillar fell, millions were left on the brink. Survival meant sacrifice, resourcefulness, and community. As summer 2025 ends, America stands at a crossroads. 3 futures loom. First, tariffs hold, prices stay high, and hardship drags on until new factories open, if they ever do. Second, a policy reversal. Tariffs ease, prices stabilize, but companies face stranded investments and new uncertainties. Third, global escalation. More tariffs, more retaliation, a full-scale trade war that cripples commerce and jobs. The stakes are enormous, not just the price of milk, but the livelihoods of millions, and the stability of the global order. The choices made now will shape the American shopper's future for years to come. Will the pain lead to renewal, reversal, or ruin? The answer is still unwritten. The only certainty, the era of always low prices is over. The reckoning has arrived. Thanks for watching a video. And subscribe the channel Skytech-Lens for more updates. Thanks.